Let me get it going for you. What is up, my students? We're gonna be talking about something crazy. Something maybe a little bit hazy. Let me tell you what it is. It involves cars going in to spaces. I'm talking about parking lots. That's right. He's talking about parking lots. Are they worth more than human lives? Human lives. Parking lots. Industry. Capitalism. Talking about parking lots. Yeah. Talking about parking lots. Parking lots. That's right. Talking about parking lots. We are talking about parking lots today, ladies and gentlemen. The war zone of what seems to be cars. All right. The places where a lot of parking lots, parking garages, just parking in general and stuff. It's one of the cultures of the modern era today. All right, we've been doing it for over hundreds of years. Ever since we put boxes on wheels, we had to place this vehicle in a place. All right, it's been a part of tradition all along. Now, has this tradition been overused? That's kind of the question. That is the question that I'm answering today. Now, I'm a little bit biased. All right, I fucking hate parking. All right, I think parking is a completely big ass waste of time. All right, for the reason that why we have parking garages in cities is the fucking stupidest thing in the whole wide world. All right, put me on a train, especially now that I'm living more out on the East Coast and I'm actually seeing public transportation being used and stuff like that. Oh fuck yeah. Like, why the fuck not? Oh, but was it I would have to pay for a ticket? You pay for gas. You have to pay for tolls. God forbid you're actually living close to one of those cities. You actually have to pay tolls to get into the fucking city. Get on a fucking train. All right. Oh my God. Even by that point, like, some of the shit ain't even free. Or they're charging you $20, $30 for an hour, and it sucks. It's stupid. It makes the investment of having a car completely worthless. Honestly, there's there's barely any ways to make money off of a car unless you are like deliberately selling the car off to make money. Like, that's it. Like, you can't keep a car anymore. You have to actually utilize it. Otherwise, it is just an expense that's burning a hole in your pocket and stuff. And of course, that's a whole other topic. But this is going to be related stuff onto it. And it's so compact. And what was it? Every movie that you I've seen where it's like an evil person and stuff like that, or they're trying to dismantle a park in a city or whatever. It's always a fucking parking garage. It's always a parking garage. Oh, we're gonna add a brand new lot right here. Yes, it's gonna be amazing. Just oh great, what are you gonna be doing in this lot? You're gonna put low income housing and stuff like that. No. No. We're actually gonna be putting a big old empty box, right? So then people can put their cars there. Oh, what? But you're what? Yep, that's what we're gonna be doing. Oh God, that's awful. No, can we cancel that, please? Nope, already had the permit. Ready. And you know what's crazy? I'll be honest. I try to look into this and I haven't seen anything that really like shuts it like that shuts it down besides just the obvious like articles. Oh, and of course, like, you know, besides articles that have to go behind a fucking paywall. Oh my god. Yeah, like this is like, and I am making it my goal now to where I don't want to use like unless I can like get explicit confirmation that it doesn't have like either it doesn't have a client ID or it allows like reactions behind it. I don't want to fuck with YouTube anymore. Just because I don't want to limit you guys on the content that you need, and like I think we can already like I can be entertaining and keep it article like keep it within articles and stuff like that, and keep it somewhat entertaining on that factor until like you know for 2 hours. All right. Now, if I was doing something like for 8 hours and stuff like that, and I had a good enough following and stuff like that, then like you know post highlights on YouTube. Like that's about it. But even on that, I have to be careful. Like no matter what, I always have to be careful. So I want to keep it. I want to keep it genuine, but that's besides the point. We're talking about parking lots. All right, look at that. I'm already knocking out like 6.5 minutes of me just rambling. But like, what was it? They're not even pretty. Like at least like make like do like two birds with one stone. Like maybe add gardens. Like add like a wall garden or a roof garden, like on top of a parking lot and stuff like that. At least like don't make it just this one utility based thing. Like, you know, if you build a building with it and stuff like that, I mean, I guess like you know, you're adding a little bit of like use out of it, but it's just this sole part. What this sole part that you're going to be building a fucking parking garage? No, you're building an empty box. You're building an empty box. Honestly, I think like the culture behind parking garages and stuff like that is always to show industry and depression. I think genuinely, like every time I've always seen a movie when someone's just like, you know, going through their day, going to their job, always going at the top of the parking garage, right? They're driving up there and they're all sad and shit. Yeah, they're part of the system, man. They're part of the system, students. All right? I'm telling you, okay? We can't be part of the system. Okay, we gotta go against the system. Okay, we gotta dismantle all of this shit. That's what I'm saying. All right, we gotta go up there, go up to the guy that's building that parking garage right now, and go right to his face and be like, oh. That's what's up. All right, we need to get crazy. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what we're gonna be learning about. Okay, but first of all, of course, you know how we start about this. We gotta learn about it. If we're going to critique this thing or we're going to dismantle it and stuff like that, we got to learn the insides out of this thing. Okay. So let's get right onto it with, you know what it is. The 5 questions of research. All right. What is the topic and what's the problem? Students, we're talking about parking lots. Yeah. What was it? What was it? What was the song? Fuck a school, build a parking lot, something like that, right? Yeah, no, that's a fucked up. Like even songs are talking about like just like put up a parking lot. Yeah, we're all just totally fucked. What's the topic and what's the problem? Parking lots. Parking lots are taking up too much space. Maybe even dismantling, displacing, and going as far as oh god, I'm going to butcher it, but gentrification. Oh god. Yeah, gentrification. Honestly, I'm willing to go as far as building brand new parking lots nowadays. You're gentrifying the area. Seriously, whether it's a brand new Walmart coming in, ShopRite, wherever you guys are at, knocking out local markets and stuff. These big corporations, cities building parking garages and stuff like that. Apartment complexes not investing in fucking public transportation, which they would be the perfect ones for. All right, no, it's fucked up. I think honestly this could go pretty far. All right, but of course, to defeat your enemy, you gotta know him. So let's go right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Right into the biscuits of it. Brian, where are you, Brian? You're here. Hello, Brian. I'm gonna move you here. Okay. Yeah. Brian, I think you need to be moved there. I think you need to chillax there, my dude. All right. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Brian, please teach us about the parking lot. And oh my God, yeah, the English people. It's called a car park. Yeah, because you know why we call it a parking lot is because we're parking a lot of fucking cars. That's how we do it in America, right? We like to consume even space with our fucking cars because that's how we do it. Oh my goodness. I got, yeah, like, what was that? We're in education time and stuff. I feel, man, sorry, I just saw something super delicious. Students, let me just, Brian, get it going. Get it started.
A parking lot, American English.
Wait, no, we gotta get the title.
From Wikipedia, the free
Free encyclopedia.
A parking lot, American English, or car park, British English, also known as a car lot, is a cleared area that is intended for parking vehicles. Usually, the term refers to a dedicated area that has been provided with a durable or semi-durable surface. In most countries where cars are the dominant mode of transportation, parking lots are a feature of every city and suburban area. Shopping malls, sports stadiums, megachurches and similar venues often feature immense parking lots.
I like its mega churches. Sorry, that cracked me up a little bit. Multi-story car pack. There's a cab hack. Multi-story cab pack. The pack in the car to the garage.
Parking lots tend to be sources of water pollution because of their extensive impervious surfaces. Most existing lots have limited or no facilities to control runoff. Many areas today also require minimum landscaping in parking lots to provide shade and help mitigate the extent of which their paved surfaces contribute to heat islands. Many municipalities require a minimum number of parking spaces, depending on the floor area in a store or the number of bedrooms in an apartment complex. In the United States, each state's Department of Transportation sets the proper ratio for disabled spaces for private business and public parking lots. Various forms of technology are used to charge motorists for the use of a parking lot. Modern parking lots use a variety of technologies to help motorists find unoccupied parking spaces, retrieve their vehicles, and improve their experience.
I didn't even know that. Like, what was it? Yeah, what was the one thing that just said? Heat islands? I'm sorry, I'm eating a mochi. And no, I didn't bring enough to share in the classroom. Right? I'm the teacher. All right, that's how this thing works. All right. Well, it's here. Heat islands. Okay, we're gonna have to look into that. Well, sorry. Many areas today. Oh, hello. What's up? The fuck was that? Heat islands. Let's just heat islands and what you need to know. All right, cool. We're gonna hold on to that. And let's see to improve. Let's see here. Okay, let's get back to Brian. Especially private businesses, various forms of technology. Okay. Okay. Let's continue.
Parking minimums and maximums. In North America, parking minimums are requirements, as dictated by a municipality's zoning ordinance, for all new developments to provide a set number of street parking spots. These minimums look to cover the demand for parking generated by said development at the peak times. Thus different land uses, whether they be commercial, residential or industrial, have different requirements to meet when deriving the number of parking spots needed. U.S. urban planners use parking generation rates, a guidebook of statistical data from the Institution of Transportation Engineers, to source parking minimums. In these reports, the ETA define a type of land use is parking generation through an observational study. Parking generation is statistically found by a land uses, average generation rate, the range of generation rates, the subsequent standard deviation, and the total number of studies. To determine the parking generation rate of a building, the ETA divides the peak parking observed by the floor area per 1,000 square feet. This process is done by various studies to find the range. In the case of ETA studies, the observation of a single site multiple times is considered a standalone study. Then the average of the range is used to determine the average parking generation rate of a land use. This handbook is updated every 5 years to determine the demand for parking for specific land uses. Parking generation rates provided by the ETA doesn't explicitly state what parking minimums should be, but rather is just a collection of statistical data for urban planners to interpret and use for at their own volition. Regardless, ETA's parking generation has been an influential factor in most North American cities in the adoption parking ratios, according to land use, to determine the minimum spots required by new developments. Parking generation, regardless of its widespread use in North American cities, is disputed as a tool to determine parking minimums due to its questionable statistical validity. Statistical significance is a major qualm with parking generations due to the oversimplification of how the parking generation rate is derived. Peak parking observed by ETA doesn't take into account the price of parking in relation to the number of parked cars. Thus the demand at any given time for parking is always high because it is oversupplied and underpriced. Thus the calculation for the parking generation rate of a land use, some would argue, are inflated. Adoption of parking minimums by municipalities, based on ratios from parking generation, had a substantial effect on urban form. This can be seen in the lack of density characterized by the suburbanization of North America post-World War II. The growth of the car industry and car culture, in general, has much to do with the mass movement of the middle class away from urban centers and exterior of the city in single-family detached homes. As populations grew and density dissipated, automobiles became the main mode of transportation. Thus ensuring that new developments ensured off-street park became a necessity.
And that's when we actually lose the use of public transportation. As soon as everyone needed a car, they just started not needing the use of it. Like that's the crazy part. I feel like we made cities like almost like what was it? There's nothing, like, basically there's nothing to do at your house. There's nothing to do at your house, and there's more things to do in this city. Now it's starting to flip, especially with COVID and stuff like that, and people working at home. We don't need that anymore. And like, if you had more things in your local area, and then you use public transportation to go to the city, then like that's all you need. But no, we've used it to the point to where cities are like the metropolis, and we're forced into those areas. But like, yeah, especially in like Midwest towns where like cities like all it is, or the not even like cities, but like just town centers where like, oh, the Walmart is like, 1,000 miles away and stuff like that. Maybe even like, I would almost say Walmart would be better just on the fact, at least in this standard, like it would be better. You know what? No, I'm talking about specifics. I'm talking anecdotal now, I guess, because like with cities, yeah, no, it'd just be better if more things were in the local areas. And forcing people to work, you would just need public transportation. Like the whole factor that public parking is not there, like you can use it, and not just trains. You could just use buses and trolleys.
Parking minimums are also set for parallel, pull-in, or diagonal parking, depending on what types of vehicles are allowed to park in the lot or a particular section of it. Parking minimums initially took hold in the middle of the last century, as a way to ensure that traffic and new developments wouldn't use up existing spaces. Big cars may not fit properly in assigned parking spaces, creating issues with entering or leaving the car or blocking adjacent parking spaces. In Europe, parking maximums are more common. As a condition of planning permission for a new development, the development must be designed so that a minimum percentage of visitors arrive by public transport. The number of parking places in the development is limited to a number less than the expected number of visitors.
So wait. So in your parking, I need to read that again so I can understand it. Parking maximums are more common as a conditional of planning permission for new development. The development must be designed so that minimal percentage of visitors arrive by public transport. Oh, wait. So that a minimum percentage of visitors arrive by public. Yeah. So that's what. So actually, that's what we need to push more, right? Because at least in my head, that's what we need to push more for. Because I want more public transportation. But no, we at least we want a minimum of our maximum. That's basically what we're trying to do. We're trying to get as much parking in because we're pushing for more individual cars. The number of parking places in the development is limited to the number less than the expected number of visitors. See, that is what we need. That is what, honestly, that's what we need. We need that to slowly integrate people back into public transportation. Honestly.
Parking and urban planning. The effect of large-scale parking in city has long been contentious. Elimination of historic structures in favor of garages or lots led to historical preservation movements in many cities. The acreage devoted to parking is widely seen as disrupting a walkable urban fabric, maximizing convenience to each individual building, but eliminating foot traffic among them. Large paved areas have been called parking craters, parking deserts, and similar terms, emphasizing their depopulated nature and the barriers they can create to walking movement. The largest parking lot in the world is West Edmonton Mall. Guinness World Records.
Now I want to see it. West Edmonton Mall. No, fuck. West Demon, jeez. West Edmonton. Edmonton Mall. Come on. Parking lot. I want to see this. But get the fuck out of here. That's not it. Holy Christ. Jeepers. Look at it. It's practically got its own little highway. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. We do not need that. Like we just don't. We simply don't need that. Ugh. Ew. It's disgusting. Look at that big ass place. Those are tiny cars. Look at the tiny cars. See, like if you have a mall, you have a mini city. To be honest. Imagine the potentials if we actually didn't have malls.
Criticism. Due to a recent trend towards more livable and walkable communities, parking minimums, policies requiring each building to have at least a minimum number of parking spaces, have been criticized by both livable streets advocates and developers alike. For a time, the British government recommended that local councils should establish maximum parking standards to discourage car use. American cities such as Washington, D.C., are now considering removing parking minimums as a way to add more housing for residents while encouraging the use of public transit.
When are they doing this? Back in 2013? Has that actually been introduced? Parking requirements to slow out damned spot. How DC's. We don't have one. Everything published is free, and thanks for users like you. So oh, yay! I love that. This is back in 2013, so we're gonna have to look up some updates on seeing if that's into it.
Parking lots designed specifically for bicycle parking are also becoming more prevalent in response to increased environmental and health consciousness. These may include bicycle parking racks and locks, as well as more modern technologies for security and convenience. For instance, a growing number of bicycle parking lots in Tokyo include automated parking systems. Legal issues. Sweden and
Oh, wait, what was that? Sorry, parking lots is
Parking lots designed specifically for bicycle parking are also becoming more prevalent in response to increased environmental and health consciousness. These may include bicycle parking racks and locks, as well as more modern technologies for security and convenience. For instance, a growing number of bicycle parking lots in Tokyo include automated parking systems.
That would be sick. Like, honestly, just copy what was it? Now, college campuses, they have parking. Maybe not. No.
Legal issues. Sweden and Denmark. In Sweden and Denmark, there are legally two types of car parking, either on streets and roads, or on private land. A parking violation on streets is a traffic crime, resulting in fines. A parking violation on private land, also if owned by the city, is a contract violation and gives additional parking fee. Swedish, control of gift equals check fee. The difference is small for the car owner and the owner is always responsible. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has two types of car parking, either on public or on private land. The difference is that the police will investigate any reported accident on public land but have no legal obligation and will not do so on private land. Public road is defined by the Road Traffic Act 1972 and Amendment, Regulations 1988 SI 1988-1036 as road, in relation to England and Wales, means any highway and any other road to which the public has access, and includes bridges over which a road passes. There is also a House of Lords judgment on this matter. Civil enforcement officers enforce parking restrictions on public, council-run car parks. These include failure to purchase a ticket as payment, if available, not parking in a marked bay, other offenses. United States. In the United States, each state's Department of Transportation sets the proper ratio for disabled spaces for private business and public parking lots. Certain circumstances may demand more designated spaces. These reserved spaces are mandated by the Americans with Disabilities Act accessibility guidelines. In some jurisdictions, those in possession of the proper ID tags or license plates are also free from parking violation tickets for running over their metered time or parking in an inappropriate place. As some disabilities may prohibit the use of regular spaces, illegally parking in a disabled parking space or fraudulent use of another person's permit is heavily fined.
Okay. A few legal issues there out of this part. Okay, I'm going to get into the payment. I need to go use the restroom real quick. All right, BRB students.
Payment. Various forms of technology are used to charge motorists for the use of a parking lot. Boom gates are used in many parking lots. A customer arrives to the entry ticket machine by vehicle, presses the ticket request push button, takes a ticket, which raises the barrier, and enters the parking lot. To exit the lot, the customer presents the ticket to a cashier in a booth at the exit and tenders payment, after which the cashier opens the boom gate. In 1954, the first automated parking lots were built where, for a monthly fee, a driver with a magnetic key card could enter and exit the parking lot by raising and lowering the boom. A more modern system uses automatic pay stations, where the driver presents the ticket and pays the fee required before returning to their car, then drives to the exit terminal and presents the ticket. If the ticket has not been paid for, the boom barrier will not raise, which will force the customer to either press the intercom and speak to a staff member, or reverse out to pay at the pay station or cashier booth. At some major airports parking lots in the United States, a driver can choose to swipe a credit card at the entry ticket dispenser instead of taking a ticket. When the driver swipes the same credit card at the exit terminal upon leaving the lot, the applicable parking fee is automatically calculated and charged to the credit card used. In some parking lots, drivers present their tickets to and pay the cashiers at a separate cashier's office or counter, which are often located elsewhere from the entrances and exits of car parks. Such cashiers' offices are called shroff offices or simply shroff in some parking lots in Hong Kong and other parts of East Asia influenced by the Hong Kong usage. If a ticket has not been paid, the barrier will not raise. In recent years, cashiers and shroff officers have often been replaced with automated machines. Another variant of payment is motorists paying an attendant on entry to the lot, with a way out guarded by a one-way spike strip that will only allow cars to exit. Parking meters can also be used, with motorists paying in advance for the time required for the bay they are parked in. Pang-O, a play on pay and go. a company founded in Israel in 2007, created a mobile app that allows users to both find and pay for available metered parking. The app can also be used to pay for garage parking. Users' accounts are linked to a payment method, and the system remembers where a vehicle is parked and allows users to share a parking session with Facebook friends. Users may also, for a nominal monthly fee per registered car, subscribe to reminders that text alerts shortly before metered time expires, and in some municipalities, users may buy additional metered time via cell phone. Philadelphia encourages parking space turnover by charging escalating parking fees when metered time is added. Another app, Streetline, whose primary purpose is to help motorists find open parking spots using their smartphones, includes a timer, so users can get back to a parking meter before it expires, and a filter that lets users choose between on-street and off-street parking spaces. It also connects to the phone's camera so a user can take a photograph of their car. Other lots operate on a pay and display system, where a ticket is purchased from a ticket machine and then placed on the dashboard of the car. Parking enforcement officers patrol the lot to ensure compliance with the requirement. Similar to this is the system where the parking is paid by the mobile phone by sending an SMS message which contains the license plate number. In this case, the virtual cashier books the car and the time when the message is sent, and later a new SMS message must be sent whenever the time is due. The actual payment is then made via the mobile phone bill. Since 1978 in the United Kingdom, it has been possible to pre-book parking with specialist companies, such as BCP. This is prevalent at all airports, major ports and cities.
Wow. I wonder, because they said, what, in '07, the first automated parking lots were built where, for monthly fee, a driver with a magnetic key card could enter an exit parking lot by raising and lowering the boom. Okay. So we had this. But people like didn't want to do this for like coin-based stuff. So fucking stupid. All right, let's dive deeper into this.
Technology. Modern parking lots use a variety of technologies to help motorists find unoccupied parking spaces using parking guidance and information system, retrieve their vehicles, and improve their experience. This includes adaptive lighting, sensors, indoor positioning system, IPS, and mobile payment options. The Santa Monica Place shopping mall in California has cameras on each stall that can help count the lot occupancy and find lost cars. In outdoor parking lots, GPS can be used to remember the location of a vehicle. Some apps saves location automatically when turning off the car when a smartphone breaks communication with the vehicle's Bluetooth connection. In indoor parking lots, one option is to record one's Wi-Fi signature, signal strengths observed for several detectable access points, to remember the location of a vehicle. Another alternative is to use smartphone applications that does inertial dead reckoning, detection of turns made by the car while driving indoor, correlations of travel time between turns, and machine learning algorithms, to infer the rough location of the parked car based on a map or floor plan.
But God forbid we want to just have just simple public transportation. God forbid we want to just do that. We have so much, we've dedicated so much technology to just like providing people to find parking easier. And it's just like, no, just please, just use your fucking car. Please, just don't take a bus.
Online booking technology service providers have been created to help drivers find long-term parking in an automated manner, while also providing significant savings for those who book parking spaces ahead of time. They use real-time inventory management checking technology to display parking lots with availability, sorted by price and distance from the airport. There are mobile apps providing services for the reservation of long-term parking lot spaces similar to online or aggregate parking facility booking services. Some long-term parking mobile apps also have turn-by-turn maps to locate the parking lot, notably US and UK-based Park Jockey. Environmental considerations. Water pollution. Parking lots tend to be sources of water pollution because of their extensive impervious surfaces. Virtually all of the rain, minus evaporation, that falls becomes urban runoff. To avoid flooding and unsafe driving conditions, the lots are built to channel and collect runoff. Parking lots, along with roads, are often the principal source of water pollution in urban areas. Motor vehicles are a constant source of pollutants, the most significant being gasoline, motor oil, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, and heavy metals, are found in combustion byproducts of gasoline, as well as in asphalt and coal tar-based sealants used to maintain parking lots. Many parking lots are also significant sources of trash which ends up in waterways. Treatment of pollution. Traditionally, the runoff has been shunted directly into storm sewers, streams, dry wells or even sanitary sewers. However, most larger municipalities now require construction of stormwater management facilities for new lots. Typical facilities include retention basins, infiltration basins and percolation trenches. Some newer designs include bioretention systems, which use plants more extensively to absorb and filter pollutants. However, most existing lots have limited or no facilities to control runoff. Alternative paving materials. An alternative solution today is to use permeable paving surfaces, such as brick, pervious concrete, stone, special paving blocks, or tire tread woven mats. These materials allow rain to soak into the ground through the spaces inherent in the parking lot surface. The ground then may become contaminated in the surface of the parking lot park, but this tends to stay in a small area of ground, which effectively filters water before it seeps away.
Oh, thank God. Like, we could just let it pool into a nice, juicy mass of dirt and ass water. Dripping from the car, pussy. It's just, and no matter what, these are just like stalemates from it.
This can, however, create problems if contaminants seep into groundwater, especially where there is groundwater abstraction downstream for potable water supply. Landscaping. Many areas today also require minimum landscaping in parking lots. This usually principally means the planting of trees to provide shade. Customers have long preferred shaded parking spaces in the summer, but parking lot providers have long been antagonistic to planting trees because of the extra cost of cleaning the parking lots. Paved surfaces contribute to heat islands in two ways. The first is through excessive accumulation of heat. Dark materials and the enclosed canyons created by city buildings trap more of the sun's energy. The reflection rate of paving compared to natural surfaces is important, as higher reflectance means cooler temperatures. Black pavements, the hottest, have solar reflectances of 5 to 10%. Lighter pavements have solar reflectance rates of 25% or higher. Reflectance values for soils and various types of vegetation range from 5 to 45%. The second cause of heat islands is the low moisture content of paving and building materials. Such materials are watertight, so no moisture is available to dissipate the sun's heat through evaporation.
Okay, wait. Sorry, hold up. I blanked out there. Paved surfaces contribute to heat islands in two ways. First is through excessive accumulation of heat, dark materials, right? Reflection of rates. Black pavement, the hottest, have solar reflection, 5 to 10%. Lighter pavement, 25%. Reflective values for soils varies. Second cause, the heat islands, low moisture content, paving, building materials such as materials of watertight, so no more. Okay.
Tree planting has been shown to significantly reduce temperatures in open, paved areas. In one study in Alabama, daytime summer temperatures of 120 degrees Fahrenheit were recorded in the center of a bare parking lot, whereas where a small island of trees was present, temperatures only reached 89 degrees Fahrenheit. It also found that a further 1 degree Fahrenheit temperature reduction could be obtained for every additional canopy tree planted. More recently, parking lots have been seen as prime real estate for installing large solar panel installations, with the additional benefit of shade for vehicles parked underneath.
That's that's another way too. Honestly, hold up. Let's we can just let's add that to the bit right here. Sorry if I'm going back and forth. I'm blinding you here with this bright ass light. Is there a dark mode for Microsoft? Probably. Help view. Is there a dark mode? Immersive reader. Text spacing. Sorry, can we get that here? Sorry, view. Print layout. Okay, never mind. I'm getting distracted. Man. Oh, I'm getting rumbles in my belly. Oh boy. All right, cool. What have others done to try to call? Oh yeah. So okay, let's get back to it.
Land usage. A parking lot needs fairly large space, around 25 square meters, or 270 square feet per parking spot. This means that lots usually need more land area than for corresponding buildings for offices or shops if most employees and visitors arrive by car. This means covering large areas with asphalt services. Some lots have charging stations for battery vehicles. Some regions with especially cold winters provide electricity at most parking spots for engine block heaters, as antifreeze may be inadequate to prevent freezing.
Cool. Automated parking system. Is a mechanical system designed to minimize the area and or volume required for parking cars, like a multi-story. Ooh. Green parking lot. Park and ride. Okay, let's go. Let's check this stuff out. Whoa. Oh, shit. Okay. How long would this be to dive into?
Automated parking system. From
9 minutes? Let's do it.
Automated parking system. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. An automated car parking system.
This is sick, though. That's awesome. Like a whole elevator system, and you can just send your car into like a concession, like a soda machine.
An
Dude, that would be
automated
sick.
car parking system, APS, is a mechanical system designed to minimize the area and/or volume required for parking cars. Like a multi-story parking garage, an APS provides parking for cars on multiple levels stacked vertically to maximize the number of parking spaces while minimizing land usage. The APS, however, utilizes a mechanical system to transport cars to and from parking spaces, rather than the driver, in order to eliminate much of the space wasted in a multi-story parking garage. While a multi-story parking garage is similar to multiple parking lots stacked vertically, an APS is more similar to an automated storage and retrieval system for cars. The paternoster, shown animated at the right, is an example of one of the earliest and most common types of APS. APS are also generically known by a variety of other names, including Automated Parking Facility, APF, Automated Vehicle Storage and Retrieval System, AVS, Car Parking System, Mechanical Parking, and Robotic Parking Garage. History. The concept for the automated parking system was and is driven by two factors, a need for parking spaces and a scarcity of available land. The earliest use of an APS was in Paris, France in 1905 at the Garage Rue de Frontier. The APS consisted of a groundbreaking multi-story concrete structure with an internal car elevator to transport cars to upper levels where attendants parked the cars.
Motherfucker, we had this shit back in almost the 20th century. We could have had this. Like, this is something that's feasible. Why didn't this continue? Back in 1905, Paris had it? What the fuck?
In the 1920s, a Ferris wheel-like APS, for cars rather than people, called a paternoster system became popular as it could park 8 cars in the ground space normally used for parking 2 cars. Mechanically simple with a small footprint, the paternoster was easy to use in many places, including inside buildings. At the same time, Kent Automatic Garages was installing APS with capacities exceeding 1,000 cars. The first driverless parking garage opened in 1951 in Washington, D.C., but was replaced with office space due to increasing land values. APS saw a spurt of interest in the U.S.
You hear that? Increasing land values.
APS saw a spurt of interest in the US in the late 1940s and 1950s with the Bowser, Pigeonhole and Roto Park systems. In 1957, 74 Bowser, Pigeonhole systems were installed, and some of these systems remain in operation. However, interest in APS in the US waned due to frequent mechanical problems and long waiting times for patrons to retrieve their cars.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Oh, I can't get my car instantly. Oh, if we were to continue this would have been equally difficult to operate. And actually, I don't give a shit. Like, I'll wait 10 minutes to get my car just so I don't have to go, so I don't have to move. People are lazy. Why not push that?
In the United Kingdom, the Auto Stacker opened in 1961 in Woolwich, southeast London, but proved equally difficult to operate. Interest in APS in the US was renewed in the 1990s, and there are 25 major current and planned APS projects, representing nearly 6,000 parking spaces, in 2012. The first American robotic parking garage opened in 2002 in Hoboken, New Jersey. While interest in the APS in the US languished until the 1990s, Europe, Asia and Central America had been installing more technically advanced APS since the 1970s. In the early 1990s, nearly 40,000 parking spaces were being built annually using the Paternoster APS in Japan. In 2012, there are an estimated 1.6 million APS parking spaces in Japan. The ever-increasing scarcity of available urban land, urbanization, and increase of the number of cars in use, motorization, have combined with sustainability and other quality of life issues to renew interest in APS as alternatives to multi-story car parks, on-street parking, and parking lots. Largest systems. The largest automated parking facility in the world is in Al Jarrah, Kuwait, and provides 2,314 parking spaces.
I'll be
The
right back,
world's fastest
students.
automated parking system is in Wolfsburg, Germany, with a retrieval time of 1 minute and 44 seconds. The largest APS in Europe is in Aarhus, Denmark, and provides 1,000 parking spaces via 20-car lifts. Space saving. All APS take advantage of a common concept to decrease the area of parking spaces, removing the driver and passengers from the car before it is parked. With either fully automated or semi-automated APS, the car is driven up to an entry point to the APS and the driver and passengers exit the car. The car is then moved automatically or semi-automatically, with some attendant action required, to its parking space. The space saving provided by the APS, compared to the multi-story parking garage, is derived primarily from a significant reduction in space not directly related to the parking of the car. Parking space width and depth, and distances between parking spaces, are dramatically reduced since no allowance need be made for driving the car into the parking space or for the opening of car doors, for drivers and passengers. No driving lanes or ramps are needed to drive the car to from the entrance exit to a parking space. Ceiling height is minimized since there is no pedestrian traffic, drivers and passengers, in the parking area, and no walkways, stairways or elevators are needed to accommodate pedestrians in the parking area. With the elimination of ramps, driving lanes, pedestrians and the reduction in ceiling heights, the APS requires substantially less structural material than the multi-story parking garage. Many APS utilize a steel framework, some use thin concrete slabs, rather than the monolithic concrete design of the multi-story parking garage. These factors contribute to an overall volume reduction and further space savings for the APS. Other considerations. In addition to the space saving, many APS designs provide a number of secondary benefits. The parked cars and their contents are more secure since there is no public access to parked cars. Minor parking lot damage such as scrapes and dents are eliminated. Drivers and passengers are safer not having to walk through parking lots or garages. Driving around in search of a parking space is eliminated, thereby reducing engine emissions. Only minimal ventilation and lighting systems are needed. Handicap access is improved. The volume and visual impact of the parking structure is minimized. Shorter construction time. Problems. There have been a number of problems with robotic parking systems, particularly in the United States. In addition to technical problems, the systems work well in situations with a relatively balanced throughput, such as shopping malls and train stations, but are unsuited to high peak volume, such as very high rush hour usage or applications such as stadiums. In addition, parkers not familiar with the system cause problems, for example by failing to push the button to alert a fully automated system to the presence of a car to be parked. Fully automated versus semi-automated. Fully automated parking systems operate much like robotic valet parking. The driver drives the car into an APS entry, transfer, area. The driver and all passengers exit the car. The driver uses an automated terminal nearby for payment and receipt of a ticket. When driver and passengers have left the entry area, the mechanical system lifts the car and transports it to a predetermined parking space in the system. More sophisticated fully automated APS will obtain the dimensions of cars on entry in order to place them in the smallest available parking space. The driver retrieves a car by inserting a ticket or code into an automated terminal. The APS lifts the car from its parking space and delivers it to an exit area. Most often, the retrieved car has been oriented to eliminate the need for the driver to back out. Fully automated APS theoretically eliminate the need for parking attendants. Semi-automated APS also use a mechanical system of some type to move a car to its parking space. However, putting the car into or the operation of the system requires some action by an attendant or the driver. The choice between fully and semi-automated APS is often a matter of space and cost. However, large capacity, greater than 100 cars, tend to be fully automated. Applications. By virtue of their relatively smaller volume and mechanized parking systems, APS are often used in locations where a multi-story parking garage would be too large, too costly or impractical. Examples of such applications include, under or inside existing or new structures, between existing structures and in irregularly shaped areas. APS can also be applied in situations similar to multi-story parking garages such as freestanding above ground, under buildings above grade and under buildings below grade. Costs. The direct comparison of costs between an APS and a multi-story parking garage can be complicated by many variables such as capacity, land costs, area shape, number and location of entrances and exits, land usage, local codes and regulations, parking fees, location, and aesthetic and environmental requirements. Following is a comparison of building costs for generic APS and multi-story parking garages. Application type: parking spaces square foot, m, per space. Building cost per space. Freestanding above grade parking garage 200 320, 30, $3,200,000 $16,000 APS 200 225, 20.9, $5,225,000 $26. 125 below. Building above grade parking garage 200 450, 42, $6,750,000 $33,750 APS 200 225, 20.9, $6,125,000 $30,625 below. Building below grade parking garage 200 450, 42, $9,450,000 $47,250 APS 200 225, 20.9, $7,025,000 $35,125. The comparison above is for building costs only. Not included, for example, is the cost of land or the opportunity cost of the use of the land, i.e. the value of the additional space made available by the smaller size of the APS. As evidence of the complexities of comparing the costs for APS and multi-story parking garages, the same author presents an actual case study as follows. Application type: parking spaces square foot, m, per space. Building cost per space. Freestanding above grade parking garage 203 445, 41.3, $6 million $29,600 APS 217 268, 24.9, $6,200,000 $28,200. In this case study, the APS also provides roughly 7,000 square feet, 650 meters, of additional open space compared to the multi-story parking garage, which provides no open space and requires minimum setbacks be utilized. Other references also indicate that the cost comparison between APS and multi-story parking garages is highly dependent on the application and the detailed design. References. This page is based on a Wikipedia article written by contributors. Read it. Text is available under the CC by SA 4.0 license. Additional terms may apply. Images, videos and audio are available under their respective licenses. Cover photo is available under CC by SA 3.0 license. Credit, Pepman Rajasekar, see original file.
Oh, I am so sorry, students. I like just died back there. Oh. Oh. Did we learn something about the comparison, all that stuff, costs? The comparison of costs between a multi-story parking garage can be complicated by many variables. Freestanding. Below building, below grade, above grade. So it fluctuates. Right. That makes sense. Damn, students. Wow. All right. So let's continue on with what we got here. All right. So there's been a lot of stuff being talked about. All right. We got a couple of things. First of all, I want to like kind of see what's up with the what was it? Temperature has risen worldwide and cities expand both. Oh, go away. Pollution. Roofs and concrete parking lots absorb and retain heat throughout the day. So okay, it just shoots a bunch of heat up into the sky, and like people do not like that, and that is not okay. That's valid. It's very valid. The one thing that I wanted to look into was yeah. So customers have long preferred shaded parking lots, but parking lot providers have long been antagonistic to planting trees because, like, I want to know if that's true. lack of what would be lack of landscaping in a parking lot. Landscaping around parking areas, tips for an attractive decline in parking islands, landscape plants. Roots on healthy trees quickly fill the soil space within small parking lots, lot islands for narrow medium. So if roots are unable to escape the island, then the tree can begin to decline due to the lack of soil resources. Note: die back in top. Growth typically slows in prior areas. Okay. Right. I mean, I guess like, it'll tear up some of that stuff in the areas, but was it green parking lot? Green parking lots are formed. Parking lot designed. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Try to sell me on
Green
parking lots.
lot. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Green parking lots are a form of parking lot designed to be environmentally more sustainable. Many agencies and organizations have released different standards as to what will be considered a green parking lot. As an example, the Toronto guidelines: the purpose of a green parking lot is to use all the leftover spaces in parking lots in more environmentally friendly manners, and also to make changes to parking lots that, without interfering with their ability to serve as a parking lot. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has released guidelines referring to a green parking lot as any lot which contains environmentally preferable features. Minimized impervious surfaces. The largest feature of the parking lot is its paved area, hence, by changing this surface to be more permeable to water, the parking lot will drain better. Some surface options are open joint pavers, porous asphalt, pervious concrete, or a turf grid. Drainage may be an important part of a green parking lot because runoff is often a serious concern. In addition to using a more porous surface, a more porous subsurface may be used to maximize drainage through the parking lot surface. Drains and low-lying areas for water retention can also be components of a green parking lot.
See, like that turf grid. Okay. See, okay, this could be fine, but the main problem is what was it? The drainage. No matter what, like the drainage out of a parking lot is going to hurt. Like that's like the biggest component is like no matter what, either you're gonna have just a cesspool underneath this, and it's gonna hurt. And of course, we can have bicycles.
Another component of green parking lots, according to Toronto's guide, is locations for bicycle storage. As bicycles are more environmentally friendly than cars, it is important for a green parking lot to contain a bicycle rack. Lighting. Minimizing energy consumption is another possible environmental feature. Green parking lots often use scaled lighting, shorter light poles and less intense lighting where pedestrians or bicycles will be, and higher intensity lighting in areas where cars are. To minimize overlighting of areas that don't need to be lit, green parking lots may also power the lighting using solar or wind, among other renewable forms of energy. Solar canopy. A solar canopy is a structure that elevates an array of photovoltaic panels above ground level so that the area under the panels can be used for other purposes. Many solar canopies are built over parking lots, where in addition to generating renewable power, they also protect the cars from sun, rain and snow. When the lot is not needed for parking, the covered area can be used for other purposes. Vegetation. Vegetation used surrounding and within green parking lots varies with location. For this reason, grasses like Kentucky bluegrass should not be used in many areas, as this grass requires large amounts of water. Trees are also good vegetation as they provide shade and generally have lower water requirements.
Well, I mean, like we just saw that like some of the vegetation could tear up more of it as it builds up. Let's see here. I kind of want to see this. Oh, what? What the fuck? There's nothing there. There's nothing here. Planning, urban design. Do you not have anything for me? Toronto. Oops, can't find that page. All right. Green parking lot. Commercial parking lot, green, left, parking lot. Yes, the parking lot. Oh, I think we're finding it. Public areas percentage. Bicycle parking facilities. For effective lighting. Green surface parking lot. Planting trees, provide good quality, enhancing pedestrian and cycle infrastructure. Managing stormwater on site, reducing the urban heat island effect. Using. Okay, cool. Green surface parking lot. Let's go ahead and add that to the mix. Didn't even. Okay. Q. All right, cool. So okay, there are solutions to at least like enhancing parking lots, especially having them being solar, like, you know, pushing the use for solar. Okay, but we still got to see. All right, let's see here. Parking systems, the latest trends will determine the future of parking. And drives up housing prices, high cost of. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Oh no, this is mainly a book. Talks about it, but yeah. Let's figure. This is a book that I think will be pretty interesting if any of you are interested in. But we can kind of get the synopsis of overall what's going on with parking in general.
The high cost of free parking. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. The High Cost of Free Parking is an urban planning book by UCLA professor Donald Shoup. It deals with the costs of free parking policies on society. It is structured as a criticism of how parking is planned and regulated, especially the use of parking minimums and off-street parking requirements. It is influenced by Shoup's Georgist philosophy and recommends that parking be built and allocated according to its fair market value. It was originally published in 2005 by the American Planning Association and the Planner's Press, and a revised edition was released in 2011, also published by Routledge. Contents. The high cost of free parking begins with discussing the history of automobiles and parking and how vehicle ownership rates have steadily increased over time. Shoup argues the parking is a classic tragedy of the commons problem, where drivers compete over scarce public parking spaces and consume time and resources searching for them. Shoup then criticizes how the Institute of
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, how much time we spend just searching for a parking spot. Like what was it? I think like last weekend, I probably drove half a mile around just a simple boardwalk just to look for a parking space. It really does waste so much energy just to look for just to look for a simple spot.
Shoup then criticizes how the Institute of Transportation Engineers determines parking generation rates, the amount of parking needed for certain land uses, for extrapolating based on limited data and for not accounting for other factors such as public transportation, which he argues leads to inaccurate rates. He then goes on to argue that the methods used to determine these rates amount to pseudoscience, because he says the methods used to determine them appear scientific, but he argues they are often arbitrary. The book goes on to discuss about the cost of constructing and maintaining parking and the differences between public and private parking from a planning perspective. Shoup then delves into a number of case studies from cities around the world. He then discusses the costs of people spending time searching for parking, which he terms cruising. Shoup then recommends some methods by which governments can collect revenue from parking and how it can design parking meters and systems to respond to price signals. Shoup concludes the book by recommending 3 main reforms which can be made to improve parking policy. He suggests charging fair market prices for curb parking, returning parking revenue to neighborhoods for community investment, and removing the requirements for off-street parking for new development. Reception. The high cost of free parking received generally positive reception. Reviewers generally found the book very comprehensive and practical for planners, but also overly long and lacking in political solutions to parking's planning problems. A review by Dr. David S. Levinson, a professor at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, stated that one cannot disagree with many of the proffered solutions as having roles in specific crowded and high-density places, the kind of places most planners prefer. Yet the vast majority of the United States now possesses sufficient free off-street parking to make these solutions irrelevant for decades to come. Edward Steinfeld, in a review for the Journal of Urban Design, wrote that, "This is an extraordinary book. An appropriate descriptive subtitle would be everything you really wanted to know about parking but were afraid to ask." It is a very long book about a small component of the built environment. Susan Handy, in a review for the Journal of Planning Education and Research, found the book daunting at first, saying that, "This book, at more than 600 pages, is downright intimidating, but said that the book showed her that parking is interesting, and it is hugely important. In conclusion, Handy said, although Shoup often seems overly optimistic about the political feasibility of the changes he proposes, I'm convinced they're worth a try.
There you go. There's a lot of things that we can utilize with parking that we saw with just green parking. But there's still so many, like, it's putting a band-aid on the problem. The overall initial issue is basically we need public transportation. We need it. But I think right now, like the stepping stones leading into that is green parking. It's like I would almost put parking as the same kind of issue with guns, and specifically with America. I think there's just like it's so ingrained that we need to just kind of work from the inside. All right, we can't we can't put some lotion on top of it and stuff like that. This is some like inner core type of fixing that we need to get into it. And I think that's one way, is that like, all right, fine. If the car manufacturers and the market is just going to push for cars and less public transportation into that, and it's going to take multitude of years, then we might as well try to reap the benefits. We almost have to think like almost in a capitalist kind of perspective to switch this over into better uses. All right, fine then. We're going to use parking lots. Okay, then how can the earth and people profit off of a parking lot? All right, let's start adding solar panels to it. All right, so that people can charge their cars, charge devices and stuff like that. You said trees, right? So how about we add more pedestrian friendly parking lots, walkways, benches and stuff like that, more uses of that. Green lit, I was trying to think of like maybe gardens and stuff, or like making parking lots out of recyclable material and stuff, like pushing, like if you're going to push this, you might as well use better methods. You might as well just use better methods that are available and that are cheap. All right. Of course, the automated parking systems and stuff like that, they can be pushed, but I think like no matter what, it's going to be hard for these things to be implemented. And it's going to be a very, very, very difficult situation for them to try to implement it. What are the other references that chain stations, road services and stuff like that? Like this is another one of those instances where it's just like, like this is okay, but I don't think like it'll push. But what is it? Where is it? Charging stations, indoor position parking, car park, multi-story car parks. Like I guess but like I want to get rid of parking garages and parking lots, both. I want to get rid of both. Permeable paving. Oh yeah, where like it doesn't soak in, where it completely absorbs in water. Road surface marking. But ooh, right, how driving. Okay, yeah. I want you guys to check this out. I'm sorry, students. My gut is destroying me right now. I feel like a burning sensation in my gut, and it's just like it's killing
how
me.
Parking destroys cities. Parking requirements attack the nature
I'm gonna
of
let
the
you
city
guys listen to
itself,
this, and then I gotta
density to the needs of the car. By Michael Manville. About the author, Michael Manville is an associate urban planning professor at the UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs. Lewis Mumford was suspicious of parking. The right to access every building in a city by private motor car.
I'm going to read this
he wrote
later
in the city
on
in history,
because I want to check
an
this
age
out.
when everyone owns such a vehicle, is actually the right to destroy the city. Jane Jacobs, who disagreed with Mumford on many counts, agreed here. Parking lots, she said, in the death and life of great American cities, were border vacuums, inactive spaces that deadened everything around them. Mumford and Jacobs published those lines in 1961, when most United States cities were 15 years into an experiment called minimum parking requirements. Mandates in zoning codes that forced developers to supply parking on site to prevent curb congestion. In post-war America, development was booming, and neighbors were worried that new residents would make street parking impossible. Decades later, parking requirements still exist nationwide. In Los Angeles, where I live, new apartment buildings must have at least one parking space per unit, retail buildings need one space per 300 square feet, and restaurants need one space for every 100 square feet of dining area. Read, America's cities can't quit cars. Parking requirements enforce what Mumford decried, the right to access every building by private car. As Mumford predicted, they have been a disaster. American urban history is stained with tragic missteps and shameful injustices, so parking requirements are hardly the worst policy cities have tried. But they are notable for how much needless damage they have caused, over a long period, with few people even noticing. The trouble with parking requirements is twofold. First, they don't do what they're supposed to, which is prevent curb congestion. Because curb parking is convenient and usually free, drivers fill up the curb first, no matter how much off-street space exists nearby. Second, and more consequential, parking requirements attack the nature of the city itself, by subordinating density to the needs of the car. Cars revolutionized transportation by promising not just speed, but autonomy. Cars let you go wherever you want, whenever you want, by yourself and by a route of your choosing. But that promise is fulfilled only if everywhere you might go has a place to store the car whenever you arrive. A train drops a passenger off and keeps going. A driver drops a car off and keeps going. Thus most trains are mostly moving, while most cars are parked most of the time. The price of the car's convenience, then, is the space it consumes when it isn't in motion, and indeed even when it isn't there. Cities designed for cars must set aside space, space to wait for cars, and space to hold them while they wait for their drivers to come back. Parking minimums take the cost of that space, a cost that should be borne by drivers, and push it onto developers, hiding it in the cost of building. Sometimes this means a project can't be built at all. At other times, it makes projects more expensive. In downtown LA, parking usually costs developers more than $50,000 per space to build. Walt Disney Concert Hall, a cultural landmark that is home to the Los Angeles Philharmonic, cost $274 million to build. Of that total, the underground parking structure, which is not a cultural landmark, it's an underground parking structure, accounted for $100 million. Because parking requirements make driving less expensive and development more so, cities get more driving, less housing, and less of everything that makes urbanity worthwhile. This process is subtle. Many mayors today declare their support for walkable downtowns and affordable units. But cities are built at the parcel, not from mayors' podiums. And parcel by parcel, the zoning code quietly undermines the mayor's grand vision. A commercial requirement of one parking space per 300 square feet means developers will put new retail in a car-friendly, pedestrian-hostile strip mall. And a requirement of one parking space per 100 square feet for restaurants means the typical eating establishment will devote 3 times as much space to parking as it will to dining. America did not become a country of strip malls and office parks because we collectively lost aesthetic ambition. These developments are ubiquitous because they are the cheapest way to comply with regulations. Janet Sadiq Khan and Seth Solomon. Surrendering our cities to cars would be a historic blunder. For each individual project, parking requirements can seem reasonable. In many cases, they mollify worried neighbors. A zoning board in Boston, for example, recently rejected a homeless housing project when nearby residents said it had too little parking. The project might still get built, with fewer units and more parking, and perhaps to the casual observer the difference is small. Over many parcels and many decades, however, the units lost and parking spaces gained add up, and the sum of our seemingly reasonable decisions is an unreasonable, unaffordable, and unsustainable city. This city, the parking city, can't have row houses and townhouses that sit flush with one another and come right up to the street. It can't reuse handsome old buildings that come straight to their lot line, so those buildings stay empty. It can't tuck quirky buildings onto irregularly shaped parcels, so those parcels stay vacant. Manhattan's famous Flatiron Building is an impossibility in a city with parking requirements. The parking city is one where people drive into or under buildings, rather than walk up to them. It is a city with listless streets, one that encourages vehicle ownership, depresses transit use, and exudes antagonism toward people without cars. Large portions of New York, Chicago, Boston, and Philadelphia, if they burned down tomorrow, couldn't be rebuilt, because according to modern zoning, their buildings don't have enough parking. Brownstone, Brooklyn, after all, is largely devoid of parking, so is Boston's famed North End. Zoning defenders might call this point moot, because those places are different. Parking can be scarce because walking and using transit are easy. But walking and using transit are easy, in part, because parking is scarce. Transit thrives on density, which parking undermines, and parking and walking don't mix. The short walk to a Manhattan subway stop will take you past attractive store windows, which come right up to a sidewalk largely uninterrupted by driveways. Walk along an LA boulevard, by contrast, and you'll get a good view not of stores but of their parking lots, which means in turn that your walk must be careful rather than carefree lest a car slide out, cross the sidewalk, and run you over. That pleasant experience comes courtesy of LA's zoning. None of this is an argument against parking. It's an argument against required parking. In an age of ostensible concern about global warming, it shouldn't be illegal to put up a building without parking and market it to people without cars. If neighbors worry that people will move in and park on the street, cities should meter their streets. Curb space is valuable public land. Parking requirements or no, cities will have curb shortages as long as they give the curb away. There are promising signs of reform. Buffalo, New York, recently abolished its parking requirements. Minneapolis has done the same. San Diego and San Francisco have scaled them back, and California may be on the cusp of rolling them back statewide. In most cities, however, parking requirements still reign unchallenged. Cars do need parking, but cars need many things, and most get supplied without being mandated. Suppose that tomorrow a mayor proposed minimum gasoline requirements, a set number of fuel pumps on every parcel. Most people would consider that outrageous. They'd observe that the private market supplies gas just fine, that it's not a big deal to travel a small distance for fuel, and that putting pumps on every parcel would just squander valuable land and encourage driving. They'd be right. But what's true of gas is true of parking too. Sometimes the hardest damage to see is the damage we are already doing. America's disastrous experiment with parking requirements should end.
Bull. Oh my God, dude, students, I don't know what's going on. Man, it's like, it's the same feeling like after like you puke and you're just like, oh my gosh, yay. I feel much better. I feel clear. Yeah, I like. Whew. Hope you guys learned something. Sorry, I'm missing out on these juicy articles. I really want to learn about this stuff, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm like, and getting knocked out on these. I guess like here, yeah, let's. Large portion of New York, Boston, and Philadelphia, if they burned down tomorrow, couldn't be rebuilt because according to modern zoning, their buildings don't have enough parking. Oh shit. None of this is an argument against parking. It's an argument against required parking. It's it's going back into minimal parking laws, minimum gasoline requirement, proposed minimum gasoline requirements. What? Cars do need parking, but cars need many things. Most get supplied without being mandated. Some suppose that tomorrow a mayor proposed minimum gasoline requirement, a set number of fuel pumps every first. Okay, so this dove more into the parking minimum. I did not know like how much that was going to be like the part like the issue that broke the camel's back on just like how crazy parking is. Was it common parking? Oh yeah, this was another thing too that was pretty interesting. That what was it? Turns out basically there's a shit ton of relativity of accidents in parking.
Common parking lot accidents and how to avoid them. Although highways take the cake for the most dangerous car accidents on average, 1 in 5 accidents happens in a parking lot. According to the National Safety Council, over 60,000 people are injured in parking lots every year. Additionally, 500 people die per year in parking lot accidents, and there are more than 50,000 crashes in parking lots and garages annually.
Okay, imagine that. Well, you need some advocacy there. You need some mothers against drunk driving. How about mothers against parking lots? 500 people per year. 500 people per year are going to die from parking lot accidents. Now, granted, of course, you could just say, I'm pulling like, what was it? I guess like ABC fallacy. Or like this might be an argument of fallacies, but maybe if we didn't have parking lots, then maybe we didn't have to have all these crashes. Granted, but no, I would dare say What was it? Yeah, no, this is completely right. You get rid of parking lots, you save 500 people every year. Granted, I think, there's too many people, but, whatever. Maybe we need more parking lots. Bigger parking lots. I want that number to shoot up. All right? Maybe that's their new modern day natural selection. All right, you get knocked all right, you lose a life in a parking lot? Yeah, you didn't look both ways, brother. Maybe that's how it goes down. Maybe. All right, let's continue this.
Although so many accidents happen in parking areas, people generally regard them as safe, and are not as on alert in parking lots as they are during normal driving. But what are the most common types of parking lot accidents? What are the reasons that there are so many crashes in lots and garages? Finally, what can drivers and parking lot owners do to increase safety in parking locations? The most common types of accidents in parking lots. When two drivers back up into each other, it's hard to look behind you when driving. There are mirrors, sure, but they don't give a full range of view behind your vehicle. You might have to turn your head back to look through your rear window. But that doesn't always help either, as it leaves a blind spot on the back driver's side. When a driver pulls out of a space in front of another vehicle, it's often hard to see cars in a densely packed lot, especially when a smaller car is pulling out of a space between two larger cars, like a sedan coming out from between two SUVs. This is a recipe for trouble, as the faster car that is already moving might not have time to react to the car pulling out. The danger of this type of accident is compounded when the driver leaving the spot is backing up. When a driver is backing up out of a parking space, their field of vision is lower, meaning they're less likely to be able to respond to oncoming traffic. Pedestrian accidents in parking lots. Pulling in and out of spaces is dangerous not only to drivers, but to pedestrians as well. Not only is it difficult to see a car pulling out of a parking space between two other cars, it's also hard for the driver of that car to see pedestrians.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I know a family member, and I'm gonna get yelled at because I'm outing them. But I'm not throwing out names. But there is a family member that I know. Let's just say an old lady got a nice taste of asphalt when they were when they were backing out of a spot. She didn't see him. It was an Escalade, and just gave a little bit of like a pop, and just boom. The old lady, she was a champ. She took it right on the chin. She got right back up. She laughed it off. It was all good. At least that's what the story was. I don't know. I'm only hearing one side of the account. Oh yeah. Let's see here. The rest of you in trouble. Pulling out the space. Okay, so we're.
Not only is it difficult to see a car pulling out of a parking space between two other cars, it's also hard for the driver of that car to see pedestrians. The other cars on either side of the vehicle cut down the field of view, and pedestrians seem to appear out of nowhere. In a 2007 study from the National Center for Statistics and Analysis, there were over 5,000 injuries to pedestrians from cars backing out of parking spaces. This danger is especially poignant to children. The 2007 study also showed that over 1/5 of children ages 9 to 5 killed in crashes are pedestrians. Children are particularly at risk because they don't know the rules of the road, they are smaller, and they tend to run and move unpredictably compared to adults. When two cars crash trying to get into the same space, when two drivers are focused on the spot they want, and not traffic, accidents happen. People become fixated on their space and forget about other drivers doing the same thing. This poses a threat to pedestrians and other motorists. Why are there so many parking lot-related accidents? People are fixated on the space they want. As we mentioned earlier, people become fixated on a potential parking space. Even if the space is far away, they will forget the basics of checking for pedestrians and traffic as they get to it. This can obviously lead to accidents.
I felt it. It's a jungle out there. It really is. Like you are ready to take out somebody just for a parking spot. Fights have happened so much over parking spots. Just like the death stares you get at people. And I'm one of them. I really am. Like, not really so much for like a parking spot, but like I've had, like, I've stayed at it where I saw the backlights turn on and I just stayed there for a solid 15 minutes. Hell yeah. All right. I'm part of the system. I'm part of the problem. All right. I'll admit it. I just I need my spot. You know how it goes. Like, let me have my spot, bro. Yeah. I think, like, what was it? It's a competitiveness. I don't know what it is. It's the same reason like to get a front row seat and stuff. And it's just like I'm like, or like what was it? Or God forbid, you're actually one of the people who have like a nice car and you drive and you put yourself in the back of the lot and then you come back and someone drives right next to you. Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that.
People are often driving while distracted in lots. Many people use their time in a parking lot to check their phones, or do otherwise non-driving activities. They do so
Yeah.
because parking lots have much slower speed limits, and they feel safer in them than on the road. A CBS News article cited a statistic that 66% of drivers feel comfortable making calls in a parking lot, over half would text. About another 50% said they would be comfortable with other uses of their phone, like watching videos or sending emails. According to the National Safety Council President Deborah Hersman, it's just as dangerous to be distracted in a parking lot going 5 miles per hour as it is going 50 miles per hour. Long story short, just because parking lots have slower speed limits, doesn't mean it's okay to drive distracted.
It's the equivalent of what was it? You can drown in 2 inches of water. Like just because like the visual of it is like not like doesn't look as dangerous. Like it's not visually dangerous doesn't mean like the amount of danger is still there.
Traffic laws aren't enforceable in parking lots. Traffic laws apply to the roads and highways, not parking spaces. This can lead to people driving more recklessly in them. You've probably seen parking lots with tire marks in a wide circle, where someone decided to do donuts. Reckless driving is a huge cause of accidents, whether in parking lots or on the road. Parking lots are actually crowded. There can be far more cars in parking lots per square foot than there are on roads. When a parking lot is totally crowded with cars, visibility is low, there are more pedestrians, and more moving vehicles. People get a false sense of security in parking lots because they think that all the other cars are
parking lots.
This is an example of confirmation bias, as it's just harder to see pedestrians and other cars due to the bad visibility in a crowded parking garage. What can your business do to make the parking lot safer? Fortunately, we can always make the world safer. Have clear signs clearly and visibly posted for drivers, especially speed limit signs and directional signs. Make sure the entire lot garage is well lit. Clear the parking lot of debris like snow. Fix potholes, cracks, and other damage. Looking to make your lot safer? If you want to ensure that your lot is as safe as it can be, then look no further than Reliable Paving.
Reliable paving. Reliable paving. But yeah, I think what was it? This is the issue with parking lots. Let's see here. What more? We still got. Let's see what we got here. The latest trends that will determine the future of parking by the Operation Commander OPS Cam. Because I want to see what happens with parking after all this. The whole working home environment and wanting to see like at least like through other people what would happen if industry started to realize like, oh, we don't like, what was it like the company that I'm working with right now, what was it like, they're all like, a lot of them are not renewing their leases for these office spaces anymore, and these office spaces have parking lots. So what's going to be the decision? Like now you have like all of these parking lots done, and it's like, ooh, that's something that we got to do. Is like, what do people do with parking lots afterward? I saw some, this pissed me off. Not pissed me off, but like what? I saw on this YouTube video, this guy, he talked about abandoned parking spaces, and we're gonna have to see something on that. And what do people do with them? Like, how can you refurbish a parking lot and make it useful again? Like, do you making sure that like, oh, can you utilize the space? Or because it's like paved with tar and stuff like that, you can't build upon it. That's another thing. Like, it's like, what do you do with all this space? Can we go back to public transportation? Like, you could probably, of course, do it like as a country wise, like with trains and stuff like that. But like minuscule wise, like, taking the bus outward. Like, yeah, you can design a route, but like how, like what would it be? It'd be very interesting on just like what you could and couldn't do for that. And I want to like see the solutions and see what that, like, maybe this article will answer for it. Maybe not. But I want to see what it might have. Of course. Let's see what we got. Brian. My stomach is feeling a lot better. Goodness. Oof. I need to get rid of some demons.
The latest trends that will determine the future of parking, May 21st, 2021 by Phil. The need for evolution and adaptation has never been as pressing. The reality of the pandemic has brought several changes to different sectors across the world. The car parking industry is one such sector that the pandemic has hit. Before COVID-19, there has been a pressing need for reforms and technological advancement in the parking industry. However, the pandemic has further brought these issues into the light. The fluctuation in the required number of parking spaces has always been a source of concern and frustration to major cities worldwide. While numerous parking lots sit vacant and idle for long periods during the day, infrastructures like housing, hospitals, schools, and recreational centers struggle to get space in the city. It is a colossal waste of resources, and it could be better utilized. The trend of wasting valuable resources is not sustainable for the future, and therefore it is time to make intelligent decisions. Technology has come to solve many problems globally, and the use is on the rise in the parking industry. There are several technological trends on the rise that could determine the future of parking. Parking assistance, automated parking lots, and the Internet of Things, IoT, are some of the most promising technologies for the future of parking. Automated parking lots. The use of automation has risen in parking lots worldwide, and it has proven itself as an effective introduction to the improvement of efficiency in car parking. The process is all about the automated process of car parking using machinery. When the vehicle enters the parking lot in automated parking lots, the lasers will scan it before a moving platform elevates it before transferring the vehicle to a parking space. The system functions similarly to an automated storage bracket, and it allows as much as 4 times the number of vehicles that a conventional parking lot will accommodate. The effective use of space is because the vehicle drivers exit the car before it is parked, eliminating the need to leave many spaces between the cars. With automated parking systems, parking lots will become much smaller, or there will be less need for more parking lots as the available ones will be enough for the vehicles. Parking lots will take up more vertical space than horizontal space because machines park the cars rather than drivers. The Internet of Things. The world has welcomed the Internet of Things, IoT, utilizing it in many ways. The Internet of Things means communication between devices online. The technology has been instrumental in many ways, making several processes easier and smoother. The parking industry is not left out of the benefits of IoT. When a parking lot uses IoT in its system, drivers can see the parking space in real time through an app service or a website. With this system, a driver will know if there is an available space to park the vehicle before getting to the parking site. You could liken the IoT system in parking lots to a refined version of the green and red light system already in use in several parking lots.
The only reason why that would be good, but people are still using like their phones in their car. I can imagine someone looking at their phone and then like trying to find the spot like an Uber. Like you would have to like almost like work with Google and be like, hey, take me to this exact coordination because that is where my spot is at. Like, or like something like popping up, be like, hey, you're heading to a parking spot. Let me send you directions over to that. Like that's the only way you could possibly get to it. Otherwise, people are going to be looking at their phones. You can't do that.
Studies have shown that using this system has helped reduce the average time drivers need to find a parking space, reducing the time by 43%. With this reduction in time required to find a parking space, there has been a decrease in vehicle volume of carbon emitted. While the IoT has its many benefits on the environment, it also increases parking efficiency with more parking lots getting filled. Filling more parking lots is way better than leaving several parking lots unfilled. To this effect, cities can close some parking lots and use them for other infrastructures to develop the city. Robotics and self-driving vehicles. With each passing year, more vehicles now have the self-parking technology fitted into them. These computer systems are inbuilt and can help you park your car automatically in any situation, either for parallel parking or usual spot. These systems are simplified with each passing year and are becoming more affordable than before. If the trend continues, self-driving and self-parking vehicles could become the standard. If this technology continues to rise in popularity and become mainstream, it will offer more opportunities to review parking lots. The self-parking technology increases parking efficiency, increasing the effective use of space in parking lots, as we have seen with the automated parking lot. Vehicles that are without this technology can still take advantage of parking sensors. Parking sensors enable the driver to reverse confidently and safely towards walls or other cars. Some vehicles already come with this sensor from the factory, while others may have to modify the car to get this feature. With the development of technologies like the parking sensor, there is eager anticipation for self-driving and robotic cars.
They just need like make parking garages as a bounce house. Honestly, like bumper cars. Like, can we just finally just accept the fact that humans just suck at driving, and we can just add bumper cars, like to the cars? Like, honestly though, like how amazing would that be? Just add like a simple bar, and it's universal. It's universal at a specific height. All right, and you fuck off, like you fuck over like any of those people who want to lift their cars like jackasses, right? And so everyone has a universal bar. And so when you nick somebody, it doesn't like leave dents or anything, and just like it helps people out with that. I think we got it. Of course, you'll be seeing a lot of like what was it, skid marks across walls, maybe.
If and when robotic vehicles become mainstream, it will present an opportunity for cities to re-examine their landscape. With robotic vehicles, cars can move closely beside each other, making the required road mass and parking lots smaller. With this, more essential infrastructures will take up these vacated spaces. With the increasing population of the world, there is more need for urban development. Parking lots take up large unutilized spaces, therefore, it only makes sense to find a way to make more efficient and effective use of these spaces. What are ways to adapt to this trend? With these trends speeding up more than ever, it is only a matter of time before more technological solutions arrive in the parking industry. Parking companies, managers, and planners need to match up with the pace of the current needs and realities. They are principal actors, and they must place themselves in a position to make good use of these technological trends. Here are some of the ways that these trends will affect the parking industry. 1. Pricing. Parking lot managers and companies could improve parking prices for the existing capacity rather than build new parking lots. The array of new payment solutions available has made parking payment easier. With this technology, managers can customize parking to off-peak and peak times, prime locations and hours of the day, etc. Most people love to park close to their destination, and they want the perfect parking space. Parking managers and companies can charge more for prime parking locations while reducing the price for less competitive parking spaces. This way, vehicle drivers can adjust their behavior by either paying higher or paying lower and walking the distance. With the latest trends in parking, parking managers and companies can readjust pricing to blend with the reality of the day.
I mean, that's fucking stupid.
2. Reusable parking lots. One way to solve the infrastructure problem is through reusable parking lots. For example, a parking lot can transform into a sports area or community zone in off-peak hours. Although this approach might require a higher cost, it will improve space use. Future development can also occur within these spaces. 3. Increased collaborations. Several private companies have begun leveraging these new technological trends to generate more revenue. Availability of data and creation of parking booking apps are ways that these private companies have increased revenues in private garages. However, cities are lagging in this regard as they have limited resources. If cities can collaborate with these private companies, they can benefit from the resources at the disposal of these private parking companies. Private parking companies can help the city design, build, finance, and operate new parking strategies. It is a win-win situation for everyone, as no one will feel left behind in the new parking trend. 4. Improved customer experience. One of the best things that new technological trends have done for parking managers and public agencies is the provision of data through feedback. As there is an increase in the amount of data available to parking lot owners and vehicle drivers, everyone can work together to develop a better customer experience.
Like the number one thing is just gonna be like, give me a space. Like, what customer experience better than that? Like, can you make sure Greg doesn't bounce off my fucking car every time he comes in? Like, I don't. Like, what other bits do you need for customer experience? I guess, like, yeah, maybe, like, besides just overall quality insurance, yeah. But beyond that, you're not like dealing with like a web page here. Like, it's just simple. Like, it's a car park. Like, it's a park. Like, I don't what.
5. Data and technological analytics. Latest IT infrastructures and data analytics can ensure end-to-end visibility and real-time tracking, improving the parking industry drastically. The major players in the industry will have to look at the technological capabilities already on the ground, such as telematics, mobile payments, IoT applications, blockchain, and crowdsourcing to improve operations and add value. 6. Location management. A critical element in parking, effective selection, and parking site location are essential for predicting and planning traffic arrangements and customer behavior. The establishment of standard processes that only requires repetition is much better than having customized plans for parking locations. The parking companies can work with government agencies to establish a flexible regulatory prerequisite that changes parking demands. This way, planning costs will reduce. Parking companies should also have an insight into the changes that could occur in land usage to reduce the risk of having unneeded or underutilized facilities. 7. Good cost management. The parking industry requires heavy assets because of infrastructure and real estate costs. However, new technological processes such as automation and robotics can help manage resources effectively and streamline the processes involved. With these technologies, there will be a quicker recoup of asset costs.
I don't like I see how like they're trying to like push it where it's just more towards like the management, not the actual consumer. Like honestly, the last bit, what was it? Improve customer experience, increase collaboration, reusable. Like reusable parking lot. Yeah, like the first two. Maybe at the beginning of the article and like the second one, I like that. Reusable parking lots. Has anyone ever tried that? Parking lot stencils, huge collection of symbols. Parking lot. Any kind of stencils. Lots of senior parking, heavy duty parking lots, reusable parking lots. Multi-purpose. Multi-purpose parking lots. Parking garages, park and play. Oh. What is this? Park and play project features a greenery and rooftop playground. See, this is what I'm talking about. Ooh, this is very pretty. Project expected to be complete in 2015. Park and play project. Was it completed? You see this, students? Look at this bad boy. I very much like it. I think it could be very much well executed. I don't know what's up with that. It's like, it's the future. Like, fucking. In a world where the buildings are beige and they're white, parking garages will be the new fucking lot. I like that. I really like that. But I mean, like, was it built? I wanna. That's like really dope. Park and play tools, Danish architecture, park and play. Features plan. Yep. Home and ideas. The home ideas channel, subscribe. No. Oh shit, this was actually built. Right? Right? It was built? Oh, it was built. Look at that. Hell yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about, students. Like, we just needed. This is beautiful architecture. Wait. This is real, right? Like, yeah, this is real. Yeah, the rooftop offers a fantastic playground, training space, and a view of Copenhagen Harbor. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, it doesn't have to be this like nasty ass concrete building or anything. Like, this architecture is very pretty. Oh, look at the fauna. Facade detail, staircase detail. I like it a lot. Park and play parking. Playing with a fantastic view, the Copenhagen. Oh my good golly gosh.
Parking houses should be an integral part of the city. But how can we
Yes.
challenge the monofunctional use of the conventional parking house? How do we create a functional parking structure, which is also an attractive public space? And how do we create a large parking house that respects the scale, history and future urban culture of the new development area Nordhavn in Copenhagen? The starting point for the competition project was a conventional parking house structure, provided by the client. The competition task was then to create an attractive green facade and a concept that would encourage people to use the rooftop. Instead of concealing the parking structure, we propose a concept that enhances the beauty of the structural grid while breaking up the scale of the massive facade. A system of plant boxes is placed in a rhythm relating to the grid, which introduces a new scale while also distributing the greenery across the entire facade. The grid of plant boxes on the facade is then penetrated by two large public stairs, which have a continuous railing that becomes a fantastic playground on the rooftop. From being a mere railing it transforms to becoming swings, ball cages, jungle gyms and more. From street level, the railing literally takes the visitors by the hand, invite them on a trip to the rooftop landscape and amazing view of the Copenhagen harbour. This project is based on a standard, predefined concrete structure. As a second layer, our proposal becomes the active filter on top of a generic, multi-level car park. The structure has a rational and industrial crudeness, which suits the area's spirit and history. However, the traditional concrete parking structure can appear cold and hard. As a natural continuation of the area's red brick identity, we propose a red coloring of the concrete structure. With this simple measure, the grey frame is transformed into a unique building structure, which radiates warmth and intimacy through its materiality and surface, in harmony with the surroundings that are dominated by red roof tiles and bricks.
That's dope. That's fucking awesome. I really, really like this. This is very pretty. Park and play. That's dope. That is dope. Like that is like that's what I'm talking about. Designing multi-purpose parking structures. Park smart. Parking. Think ahead. Design the future. Increase story heights. Design floor framing. Include 30 plus foot wide light well between the parking bays. Locate perimeter stairs. Building columns. Okay, this is kind of cool. But growing market for parking lot design. The architect. Ooh. Look at this architecture. Oh, that is pretty. Look at that. They have like a full-blown soccer field on top of the parking lot on the car park. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's beautiful. Ooh, so snazzy. You with the opportunity, there are 500 million service lots and the number are growing daily. In some cities, parking lots make up a third of land area. How long would this read be? You can't tell me how long this is going to take?
Growing market for
Okay. Cool. Then yeah, let's do it. Wait, I just want to see what housing, warehouse. No, roof gardens. Sorry. Oh, what? Like there's actual like things to it? The future proof parking garages can easily morph into offices or housing. Holy shit. Oh my gosh, we just like hit it into like a nice little plethora, a little. Oh my god, we only have 12 minutes. I'm going to have to just post this. Here, guys. Yeah, I'm going to just post this article on here so you guys can go ahead and check that out. because this is showing more bits of like them showing off warehouses and stuff like that. The future, the future-proof parking garages can easily. Okay. That is that one. Did you guys use other bits for it? Oh, interior architecture transform parking garage into rooftop Zen garden. Ooh, pretty. Holy shit, this is on top of a fucking parking garage? Oh, that is so pretty. Yeah, why the hell not? Oh, wow. Like, I don't understand why we have, like, why things have to be boring as hell. Honestly, I don't understand it. Like, we can make it so fucking cool. What is hybrid service space? 3 students in Atlantic Design School, Western France, had an idea of converting car park into city center into multi-purpose hybrid space. The lower levels are used for urban logistics with spaces for delivery, tricycles, and small parcel deliveries. Another level is designed for alternative transport modes. Ooh. What do we got here? Okay. I got the French. Ooh, that's cool. A little netting. That's pretty cool. And then all that glass structure. It is beautiful. See, that's what I mean. Like underground cultural area. Ooh, are less easy to repurpose, but one is becoming a leisure space designed for 3 other students and a sustainable city masters program. Oh, yeah, is this another thing? No, the French. Yes, okay. An urban logistics hub. I think that's the same guys. France. Yep. 3-in-1 floating car park, water reservoir, and green spaces. Oh. Architects from the firm Third Nature have combined 3 solutions to meet the needs of the constraints of 21st century. Oh my goodness, my word. Oh shit. Ooh, what the fuck? The hell is that? Okay, so you park the cars and it just sets up the water. Groundbreaking solution in major cities challenges flooding parking with flooding, parking, lack of green spaces by stacking water reservoir, parking facility, and urban space. The project pop-up solves 3 challenges at once. As heavy rainfall, storm water fills the underground reservoir, and the parking structure will pop up in the cityscape, highlighting the adaptation of the forces of nature. Oh shit. That's fucking dope. Ooh, pretty slideshow. Oh, like it lifts off the ground? Or not? I think it does. Maybe. A buoyancy of a submerged body core responds the weight of a displaced fluid. Oh, you're using some physics on that bitch. I see you. All right. Commutative spaces. On s'est fait le science. That's a French. Man, the French are doing some pretty cool shit with parking garages, y'all. Ain't too bad. A car repurpose does not mean the end of parking per se, but developers are now anticipating a future conversion, design new spaces that accommodate the future existence as offices, spaces, or housing. At the end, Space Computer Company 84.5 in the United States, Cincinnati, built by architecture firm Gensler. 3 of the levels currently occupied by new parking spaces will one day become office space. I want to find out more. Oh, some spaces. I see you. I see you. Look at that. That's all we can see here. Just that image, students. And again, of course, it gets bigger, but you can see it. Cool. Thank you, paywall. But hell, that's fucking dope. All right. Yeah, no, I already sent you guys the article, so there you go. But holy shit, yeah, that's parking. That's parking lot. I think fuck that gave me a lot of hope. All right, let's see. Who cares about this problem? Car goers, city goers, environmentalists, then AKA everyone. What was it? Let's see. What have others done to try to cause this problem? Parking managers, I guess. Parking companies. Companies not regulating parking maximums. That's cool that like we were able to figure out like the one thing. That's pretty dope. What can we do to solve it? I think people are solving it. I think people are solving it with it. I think people over in Europe are solving it. I think the unique thing, multi-purpose purpose parking. Oh god. That's about it. Nope. I clicked on something and it activated it. Multi-purpose. How did I click that? No idea. Oh, multi-purpose parking. But yeah. Yeah, multi-purpose parking. Fucking like almost like I wonder if you can like stop. Thank you. Yeah, sports. Excuse you, Jesus Christ. Sports, like almost like maybe like do like a weekend thing, a weekend fun zone, right? Where like work, like the work day, you have your set amount, like it's full parking, and then the weekday and the weekend it's half parking, right? And like half the parking in, so you have like for basketball and stuff like that, you can have community gardens, maybe like adding community gardens to it. Gardens, that'd be cute for like local vendors and stuff like that. Just like anything, and like anytime there's like a plot of soil, like why not? Like that's not, like that's how my brain works. Just like what can we do to push all the utility out of something? All right, it's just like, yeah, a light bulb, like almost, I don't want to say a light bulb, but yeah, just the car park thing. Just like we are using all this space just to put cars at? Really? Like we can't figure something out? That's why I like, I like the green roof. Those parking garages were really fucking cool. That was really cool. I think we're onto something, guys and gals, envies. Yeah. No, I think we hit something. I think we did. Guys, I think there's a future. I think there's a future. Of course, the ultimate goal is to get right into like public transportation. Of course, that's like kind of the main goal. Make sure everyone is driving on little Trans Ams or something like that. Go and get back to bicycles, tear down those systems and stuff like that. But yeah, hey, well, I mean, shit. That was very, like, those parking garages are very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Again, like, that's like why are you just building these old ass, gray ass, fucking nasty ass buildings? And like, even like the ones that would be like, oh yeah, we had brick and mortar to it, so it looks cool. Like, that's it? Really? Like, I feel like you can add so much more space. Like, you already have the lot. Like, add another floor, put some office buildings in there. Solar power, ladies and gentlemen. It's just like, why do this? And then, like, you know, I think you solve a lot of it with adding just parking. You know, we add those parking maximums. Yeah, I think that's how we'll do it. But hey, look at that, the minute to spare. I was worried about today because usually, like, I didn't see too many things like really going against it with parking, but I think no, there's people out there that are trying to solve it, and that's what we do here. That's why, like, I'm so excited about like diving into these parts of issues too. Sorry I was going in and out of there. Yeah, my stomach, my gut was destroying me, but hey, we did pretty good. I'm kind of sad. I won't see you guys till Monday, but don't worry, I have more topics. We'll be good. All right, but hey, I'm gonna go play some Fallout with some Twitch people. I'm gonna go scream and yell and stuff like that and kill people with an axe. All right, so hey, you YouTube people, you get the hell up out of here. All right, I hope you have a good one. I'll catch you later. My name is Professor Void, and I think I love you.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.